One of the most difficult aspects of the current world is the speed that things are changing. And to top it off, the speed of change is increasing. It's impossible to survive by merely reacting. Simply being faster isn't enough. If you're working on tomorrow's products and you make a mistake, you've missed your chance and you go to the back of the line. You must stay 2 steps ahead. The only way to stay 2 steps ahead is to know in advance what customers expect. You need to predict the future. When I worked at Apple, we designed something called N-tier distributed client-server computing. That's a very technical term for breaking a task up among any number of levels of computers, so you improve performance, reduce cost, and increase functionality. The concept wasn't completely new, but no one had done it very well. The reason we wanted to do it was to solve the 2 out of 3 problem. You've probably heard the 2 out of 3 problem. You can have it fast, you can have it good, or you can have it cheap. Pick any 2. It's most often said as a sarcastic joke to an unreasonable request. The 2 out of 3 problem seems like an impossible problem to solve, unless you do something very deceptively simple. But I'll leave solving impossible problems for another time. What my team at Apple realized is if we made such a system, it must be made in a very different way. So, not only did we design a system, we created methods for designing and building those types of systems. As it turned out, only a few years later, N-tier distributed client-server computing was popularized by someone else, and it's now called the web. Because Apple had seen ahead to develop methods for building web systems, they were able to keep up and eventually regain their lead with products like the iPod and iTunes. Staying 2 steps ahead requires predicting the future. What we want to predict is what customers will want in the near future. It's essential to predict the near future and not something way off into the science fiction future. If you're too far ahead of the market, you'll waste resources on marketing. Success comes from giving people what they want when they want it. What customers will want in the future are called their emerging expectations. So, how do you predict customers' emerging expectations? Well, that's what predictive innovation is all about. First, you have to understand what drives customers' desires. One basic truth of humans is we always want more. We want better, easier, for less, with less risk than yesterday. These desires follow a predictable, cyclical pattern, starting with new features, moving towards lower price, then starting again with new features. So look at any product, and you'll find it's at one of those stages. Let's look at portable music players. You might not remember, but transistor radios were the first electronic portable music player. The next improvement was adding the ability to choose your own music. The tape player did that. But at first, tape players were too big to carry around. But eventually, Sony made a pocket-sized tape player called the Walkman. Next came digital music on CDs. At first, CDs weren't portable, but soon, again, Sony made portable CD players. The first ones skipped a lot, but improvements were made and they became more reliable and smaller and then cheaper. The iPod improves on portable CD players by allowing you to build your own lists of songs to play, along with a store to buy individual songs, not just whole CDs. When iPods first came out, they only played music. Apple made incremental improvements, offering smaller ones, and eventually competitors came out with cheaper products. At that point, Apple released Video iPod. It added significant new features, and this started the cycle all over again. Looking back, each step is very logical. Once you become accustomed to analyzing the more, better, cheaper, with less risk cycle, future innovations are just as logical. A very important thing to understand is Apple knew in advance they would make those incremental improvements. So they designed it into the platform. This is how Apple stays ahead of competition. The Apple iPod was easy to release because everything was already designed into the platform. And the iPhone is really just an iPod with a few chips added to the circuit board. This wasn't genius. Anyone can learn how to do it. By knowing what customers want today and what they'll want in the future, it's possible to sketch out a map of each possible step. With this map of all the possible steps, you can always stay 2 steps ahead. In future videos, I'll talk about how to solve impossible problems, how to predict future innovations, and how to block competitors' future moves. Thanks for watching.